Ute, how are you?
Hi. Wow, it's amazing to listen what you just said about my journey. I'm good. Thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me here. And thank you so much for your interest in my work.
Definitely. Well, I think, yeah, in the nomad community, I think, yeah, if you go to one of the nomad events, a lot of people, they'll start talking about experiences they've had with shamans and these transformational experiences that they've been through, even if it was just for one ceremony. And we wanted to bring a shaman live with us here because you know, sometimes it's not so easy to find a good shaman or who is the right shaman to work with. And we just love to know more about your journey, how you got started on this path. I was reading a bit about you online and it was like super interesting. So I'm sure the rest of the group here would love to know more about you and how you got into this.
Yeah, how I got into that.
Yeah.
That is so I think it started very early when I was a teenager. I always was very, very curious. And I always had the sense there's so much more. There's so much more in life. And I was always interested to ask deep questions. Often I didn't get answers. And to look around the corner. And I always I had this inner urge almost, like exploring more depths and going into more the subtlety. And when I was a teenager and I took the first time mushrooms, I could see like energetically fields and patterns and how everything is connected. And I was like, wow. And my friends, I loved my friends. I had really good teenager friends, but they were just different. They had a different way of interpreting experiences. And for me, there was always truth. There was always truth. And I always was interested in psychology. I was interested in humans. I found it interesting how the mind works and how we create our life and how do we create our world. And often also I felt very limited through the beliefs which gets pushed on us from society, from environment. So I was often also like, hey, you know, I feel not free. I want to be free with what I feel and what I experience. And I don't want to get pushed into a box. I think this was often, this was from a young age on something what was with me. And yeah, and because I was interested in humans, I started my first practica when I was 18 in a psychiatric hospital with kids. And then I was like, wow, interesting. So I started to study different educational stuff and pedagogy, and I worked in therapeutic homes and like things like that. And I missed always something. I was like, yeah, supporting people on their path and finding their strengths and power and healing, but something is missing. And same in my private life, as I said, I always had the feeling there's more. It's not just what I see around me. There's so much more. And yeah, and I had my own crisis. I think when every one of us humans has crisis, has ups and downs and things we experience, and maybe there was never the space to really work through. And then at some point it shows up and there's some disharmony or some unbalance, or we feel something is off, you know, and finding alignment and finding truth. I mean, that's quite a path, I think, for every human. That we at some point maybe recognize in our life, hey, something we live away, it's not 100% me, or something is missing. And on this point I was quite often, and then I love to travel, and I traveled to Thailand quite often, and I lived in Mexico a year, and I was a lot in Guatemala and Nicaragua, and I always loved to travel in the outside, to explore the world, to explore different cultures. Yeah, and at some point I really noticed that something inside of me is not okay. And I was in Thailand for 1 year after I left Berlin. I was actually in Thailand 1 year. And then it came really deeply through. You go to Peru and you will drink ayahuasca in the jungle. And I found a place where I could do like a 3 months voluntary job. It's a quite famous center in Iquitos in Peru. And everything went really interesting. I got a job before where I could work for 3 months and doing a good amount of money. And I said, okay, when I have this money, I go to Peru and I somehow I committed for 3 months being in the center and drinking frequently ayahuasca. People said like, hey, you never drank before? And I said, no. And you commit for 3 months? Yes. And yeah, this was really, really a deep experience. And when my first ceremony, I saw this Shipibo. Shipibo is the word for this group of people. I saw this maestros or this curanderos, these healers, shamans, sitting in the middle in the dark and singing their Icaro, singing a song in a language I never heard. I was in the influence of ayahuasca, and finally I knew, wow, these people there, they know something I want to learn. They know something I'm looking for it since my first mushroom experience. Since I saw these energies and this web and were experiencing consciousness and wholeness in a different way, I was actually looking for these people who are sitting there in the middle. And it was very, very deep. Of course, there was a lot of doubt, you know, in my Western mind, and but deep inside of me, I knew, wow, I want to learn that. And this is how it started. And this was in January 2015.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's amazing. So not so long ago, really, just what, 6 years ago?
Yeah, it's not much time, but it was so deep that I decided to stay. And I was praying and putting intention. I was, hey, I need also a job. I need some money. So please, if this feeling is true inside of myself, that this is what I want to do, and if this is what I should do, then please show me the way. If this feeling is true, show me the way. Universe, show me. And it happened. You know, I got here and there jobs, and I could leave the country for 3 months a year working and coming back here and going through the training and the learning. What is in the Shipibo tradition, Masterplant Diets, where you are in isolation by yourself with the family, where I'm learning and studying with. You have ceremony every second night. So you drink ayahuasca every second night. You're in your tambo, in your bungalow. You're fasting, you're not talking. And you drink other tree medicines to connect to the world and the consciousness of the trees. This is, in that tradition, the way how to learn.
And how long did you do that for? That was the 3 months?
I mean, my longest was 4 months in the row. This was my longest in 2017. And besides that, I did here and there 1 month or 2 months or 2.5 months, sometimes 3-4 weeks. So I had my breaks in between to integrate and to, you know, to connect back to life, and all the uploads and downloads and insights. I mean, they need to get integrated. Otherwise, it's just something here, but you really need to embody it. You need to connect it with your life. You need to connect the differences, you know, to make it one, that you not get in a world where many things are separated and in conflict. You need to harmonize it.
That's super cool. So we've got like some people joining us. We have Max V has joined us. He's actually from Morocco. He comes from a very traditional nomad background in Morocco from his family. So he's kind of an interesting character. And then we have Doreen with us also. I see here. She joins us usually on Clubhouse every Friday. But yeah, just to let you all know who's just joined us, we have Ute here. She's a shamanic healer. She specializes in ayahuasca and Masterplant Diets. And you can check her out online at true-journey.net. So if you want to learn more about what she's up to. Yeah, she's originally from Germany. She moved to Peru. This is about 6 years ago. She spends a lot of time in the jungle, and she's been studying underneath Shipibo. Okay, I'll get that right.
Yeah.
Shipibo. And she's been studying. It's an ancient culture in Peru, like you said. So they actually, I guess, when the Western society came to Peru, you know, they kind of isolated themselves, if I'm not mistaken, right? And so you're able to learn from this ancestral knowledge that they've been able to retain over the centuries, which is kind of unique in this day and age, because I feel like a lot of this ancestral knowledge has been lost with westernization. And so, yeah, maybe tell us a bit about that. How did you decide to study under the Shipibo, and where are they exactly? Because I was looking here in Ucayali. I guess that's in the
Ucayali region. Yeah, the Ucayali region is a region around Pucallpa. It's in the Amazon in Peru.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I learn with a certain family. I don't want to use their name here right now because one of the shadow effects that ayahuasca and Masterplant Diets get so famous, and that we have social media, is that many people hear a place, hear a village, hear a name, and they just go there. And what is understandable, but many people go there without preparation, without really knowing where they go into. And it's not for everyone. Also said that this sacred plant medicine, it's really brings you really deep, and depending on your emotional and mental state, it can also be not the right medicine for you. And many people just go there also without speaking Spanish, without speaking Shipibo, obviously, who speaks Shipibo. And many of the old maestros, the old healers, they don't speak Spanish, they only speak Shipibo. And just people going there by themselves, also not good stuff is happening, you know, like for the communities who where more and more Westerner come in, for the Shipibo communities, sometimes there are certain things happening, they are not so good. And also for the people who just go there drinking medicine, yay, and not being prepared, and really difficult things can come up, and they can, you know, they can a little bit lose track as well. So that's why I'm not mentioning in social media directly the places and the names, but if someone is interested, always can reach out to me and we can talk. So for me, it's really important before someone drinks medicine to prepare, you know, to talk. Where are you coming from? What is your intention? Why do you want to do that? Yeah. And where do you want to work on? And what kind of challenges do you have in life? Like really preparing, because drinking the medicine, you can't control it. And we, with the Western mind, we often have the tendency, we want to control, we want to know. Drinking the medicine, at some point you come in a space, you have to let go of what you know. If you try to know, if you try to understand, it gets really difficult. You have to let go of that. This is like breaking through the mind, you know, letting go of everything to really receive and to really expand. And then afterwards, you can put the pieces together again. Some people are able to do that by themselves. And for some people, it's good to have some support around. What was your question? I think that
was very good. Yeah, I was going to ask you another question here that I've got is like, you say you really specialize in bridging between the ancestral wisdom and then this Western understanding is one of the things that I noticed in some of your, on your website, some of the information you sent. Maybe you can explain that to us a bit, because I'm sure there's a lot of interest in that understanding.
And I also, and you called me also in the beginning, I want to say you called me like a shamanic healer. I'm learning. I want to say I'm really learning, you know, I'm in the training and I'm learning, but I see myself, just as you said, more as a bridge for now. I mean, I'm learning to sing about, I learned the Icarus. You know, the Icarus is this traditional learning. You learn an Icarus, a song from the plants. When you are in isolation for many weeks, months, year, in isolation, drinking the medicine, drinking the plants, the main training there is to learn about energies, like the smallest particles. And learning a Icarus, at some point, maybe, it comes a melody. When you are in ceremony, more with the time, it really needs time. I mean, the healers who are my maestros, they are learning since they are 12 years old, and they are now 60 or 70 years old. They drink medicine since they are 12 or 13 years old. So it's a long path. But you learn at some point, maybe you learn at some point, how you use sound, how you bring the energy from the plants through your song into the space. If you have a client, if you have people in front, or the maestro sings to people, how do they connect the energy, the frequency from certain plants to the system of this client? And how to open up the space of the medicine, like another dimension, to really invite certain energies to do energetically surgery on a person, how to change a pattern, how to, maybe you see some colors, maybe you see some tighten up energies and blockages, and you sing into it, you loosen it up. You know, there are certain words how you loose it up. There are certain different words how you clean, and then you bring the energy in alignment again so that it can flow. Sometimes you invite other plants you were dieting, the energy of another plant, a small plant, a big plant, huge tree. You invite the energy of the moon, of the stars, of star systems, of the earth, to come through as a vibration into the field of your client, so that there's again a nice energetically pattern step by step. It's a process. Can't happen in one ceremony. It's a longer process. In one ceremony can happen a lot, but like depending, like deep healing on the whole system needs usually more time. So learning about that, it's like a huge science. It's a huge science. It's like really the smallest particles of energy with intention, with focus, with presence, plus channeling the sound from the plants in the field to work with the person. So this is ancestral wisdom, what the Shipibos use as their tool, as their, I call it like technology, medicine technology, their medicinal world. I mean, it's a whole view, it's a whole, how they live, I mean, how they speak. It's completely different than how we live or speak. And then, I mean, the Western mind is how I grew up, how we grew up, you know. The Shipibos, they don't know what are our challenges in life. How is our mind working? How are our thinking patterns, emotional patterns? What do we create in patterns that we block ourselves to truly be self? How are we challenged to connect to our true inspiration? How do we connect to really be who we are without all the things we learned and thought it's true, but maybe it's not? So all the things where we Western people often deal with, you know, financially, or how do we survive and all that, they don't know. What they see is they see your energy and they sing into the energy. And maybe sometimes they see also a certain trauma or something. But basically, I would say, I mean, I don't know exactly what they see, of course, but what I learned with my maestros, it's like seeing through drinking ayahuasca, seeing the energy and learning how to sing into that the energy gets nice and blockages gets loosed, and that the pattern gets nice. That's a Shipibo pattern, for example. Okay. So that, yeah, that energy is just flowing and all channels go open, you know. And for example, they see very often from us Westerners that our Shinan is our thoughts, our mind, how our Shinan is blocked. Like we are very mentally sick people from the Western world. So mainly the main work, what they do energetically, is on our Shinan. And Shinan is like the thinking machine, what we have. And they sing into that, and they sing into it, and they sing into it, and they do the work, you know. And then they see often the blockages from the Shinan to our heart and to our body and to our soul. And they connect all that and they sing into that. And as a Western person, to experience that, depending, of course, on your background, how much work and awareness and consciousness you have, but it can be very confusing, you know, can be very confusing. And then it's good to have someone who has experience in this tradition, who is learning about how they work, how the plants are affecting you, and how the process is. It's good to have someone who can help you to linkage, you know, your experience to your emotions, to your thoughts, to your lifestyle, just being a bridge and holding space and reflecting, you know, reflecting back, so that someone can connect to own experience and can learn to hold it, and can be seen and can be heard and can be felt. Because when you are alone in that, it can get really tricky. It can be very difficult. Like, you know, what's going on? I mean, how to put the pieces together? How can I live my life back in Germany after all that? I have a family at home. How can I be and having the relationships I had before? You know, these are many, many unendless things where maybe comes a question mark. And then it's good to have a bridge who can help you to bridge and connect to your experience and bring it into daily life and integrate it, you know, and finding their self-mastery in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what is the typical experience? I'm sure you've had a lot of people go through the program. You know, they arrive. Maybe give us an idea of what the program looks like. I was noticing here, maximum 8 people. It's for 14 nights, 6 ceremonies or so. So it's a good number of ceremonies.
Yes, it is. It is. It is. It is. I like to go deep, but I check people before if they are ready to go deep. yeah, so the 14-day retreats which I offer, it's for people who are really feeling ready to face truth. I mean, facing truth, whatever comes up, I accept and I trust that whatever comes up in me, it's something I need to see, I need to experience, to transform it, to own it, and to do next steps in my life. So it's really for people who have the feeling they really want to break through their own self, and they want to liberate stuff what they don't need anymore, and they have the sense they can trust and plant wisdom, that there is some higher wisdom, and whatever comes up, whatever shows up, it's something what needs to be seen and needs to be felt. And people who are really ready for it. Yeah, so it's like 14 days, and I always give preparation before, as we have preparation online sessions, much as needed, to really dig into psychological material, you know, what's going on, what happened in your life, what kind of traumas are there, what's challenging for you, how is your relationship to your emotions, you know, because most of us somehow learned not to feel, you know, at some point, not to feel the uncomfortable stuff to survive. This is just like mainly most of us grew up like really feeling sad and really feeling fear and feeling pain. Most of us have defense mechanisms, coping strategies not to feel that stuff. And with plant medicine, it comes up. Everything what we suppressed in life at some point will come up. So I try or give my best to prepare people for that, you know, and okay, let's sit with fear, or let's sit with sadness. And I really ask questions to go into the sadness and into the fear, and seeing also, observing the defense mechanisms, observing the resistances, because this probably will also come up in ceremony. So better we watch this before to prepare. And yeah, and then we have like the 14 days with 6 ceremonies.
Yeah, I think that's a good, I mean, I haven't heard of other programs that do the same thing, because a lot of times you just arrive, you go to the ceremony. So that's nice. It's kind of the whole preparation, and I'm not sure if there's a diet that you need to take before you go as well.
So yes, I think that's really important, like to show up. It's like a mental thing. Okay, I really show up, and I'm not drinking or eating the things which I love most. I think that's just like a really preparing of okay, let's see, if I don't have the things which mean so much for me, how will I feel? If I don't have sugar, what I usually maybe every day eat to feel better, you know, or not to feel certain things, or the coffee, you know, what is also for me very hard. I'm very focused on chocolate and eating, and I'm comfort a lot myself with food still. And it's a thing, you know, when we don't take that, how do we feel? What comes up? What kind of resistance come up? What kind of feelings come up? So there's no sugar, no fat, no oils, no spices, no red meat, no milk products, no fermented stuff before, no alcohol, no drugs, no sex, for around 10 days before. I mean, some people really start with 3-4 weeks, depending also on the lifestyle. If you have a healthy lifestyle, I think 2 weeks are great. If you drink a lot of alcohol, eating a lot of fat, a lot of fast food, it's better maybe 1 month, you know, to really get more clean and cleanse your body. Because the more your body on the physically layer also is cleansed, the more your mind is already cleansed, like not watching, you know, like certain series, and you know, like, or like really being mindful also, what do I take in mentally, emotionally, but also like physically. The more clean you are, the more deeper directly you can go. You know, if you eat before like all junk food, the first ceremonies will be a lot of also physically cleaning. So if you really want to use fully all the time and honoring it, it's good before to do the preparation also with the fasting.
Okay, that's really great information. I think that's like super helpful, and I'm sure it like makes for a much better experience. But like when someone's there for 14 days, like what do you do each day? Is there like a normal day, or like what should we expect if we sign up for this?
Yeah. So I'm doing like the traditional way is you should be, or it's best, much in isolation as possible, less talking, less input. You can express, you can write, you can sing if you have an instrument, or if you do other art. Like expressing always is great because it can give you a reflection from your inside, what you might not see. But input from outside, less as possible, because it's about building up a relationship to the plant and being with yourself and seeing what comes up and doing this inner work. So I'm there all the time, and I'm available for talks and for reflections all the time. And to the same time, I encourage the people talking less as possible. It's not a rule, you don't have to. Eating less, there are certain, depending which plant you work. If you come for an ayahuasca retreat, you just drink the ayahuasca in the ceremonies, or if you come and you add another tree. This other tree is not so-called psychedelic, but it brings another essence, another learning, but also another commitment what you need to do in it. And this is called Masterplant Diet, when there's another tree involved. Usually, most of the times, people who drink the first time in the Shipibo tradition, first time ayahuasca, most of the time I recommend just drink the ayahuasca. And then, if you want to go deeper in the shamanic world, or in the energetically subtle learning and healing, then come again for a Masterplant Diet. But sometimes people come and they are so clear, they are so committed that they directly start with the Masterplant Diet. So during the retreat, I'm very in the organic flow. I really like to feel who is there and what is needed. Sometimes we do like group sharings, because I feel like in a sharing, like talking out your process, talking out what is in you, can be very powerful, and also to be witnessed, to be heard. So when people want, we do this sharing circles. When people say, hey, I just want to sit in my tambo, I feel like I need to be with everything by myself. People can be in isolation. I mean, here and there, even if they don't say anything, I come and knock on the door and check in. Depending what I see in ceremony, depending what I feel, I come and reflect and ask questions. Yeah, and it's really an organic flow. What is offered. Sometimes I also offer like a Shipibo class, or some singing, or some words that if people want to and are interested, that they can learn some words. Maybe some humming or melody comes through, because my maestros always say, the one who sings learns. You need to sing to learn. You need to sing to connect to the plants, because through the singing and the vibration, you can connect to the plant, also in your own language. Also that works. But sometimes people get really curious to learn some words in Shipibo, and then I'm also open. Sometimes we do some yoga or some meditation, but not so much in a Masterplant Diet. But if people wish that, I give some tools as well to support them, or some toning. I have some toning with the chakras, so you can do some toning. So there are different tools I can offer, but usually the traditional way is be with yourself and be in silence, much as possible. Yeah.
So this is all happening.
But what I want to say in the beginning, we always have a sharing circle. First day, yes. Last day, sharing circle. Also, the really last day, we talk a lot about integration. So this is fixed. Like before the first ceremony, sharing circle. We have also a consultation with a maestra, and we have a little market where this Shipibo things people can buy also for ceremony, like ceremonial stuff. But then, as in between of the first ceremony and the last ceremony, there's this what I just explained, like just being present and seeing what is needed, but encouraged to be in silence as much as possible by self.
That sounds awesome. So this is all taking place in the jungle, is that right? Or is this?
Yeah. Yes. So far, I offer my groups all in the Pucallpa area. My maestros really prefer to be in the jungle. It's hold, the jungle has the vibration, and it's like a container. You hear the insects, you hear all the animals, and like a vibration where you are in. And the maestros also say the plants are growing here and they feel supported there. There is the idea, because some people are very interested to do retreats here in the mountains as well, in the Sacred Valley. And one of my maestras, Juana, she really likes also sometimes to be here in the mountains. She worked here before, so we will see. It depends. I also offer private groups. And for some people, the mosquitoes and the jungle is not comfortable enough, and they prefer to be in the mountains. It's more a comfortable life here. But usually, so far, we do it in the jungle. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. So I guess to go into the jungle, do you start in Iquitos and then you leave from Iquitos, or is there?
No, Pucallpa. Pucallpa.
Okay.
Pucallpa is the other bigger city in the Amazon, and we do it in Pucallpa.
Okay. Oh, cool. Yeah, my wife, I think I was mentioning before.
The airport from Lima to Pucallpa.
Okay. Yeah, I think I was mentioning before we were catching up. My wife, she's from Peru, so that was my first real kind of experience in Peru, and she loves the San Pedro, so she kind of introduced me to the San Pedro, and then we tried it on our own, and then we did it with a shaman. But I can say, like, doing it with a shaman was like a totally different experience and much better. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but very light, not anything hardcore, but it was like super, super nice to get in the mountains and very connected and feel very sensitive to everything, I guess. It's a feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Sensitivity. Yeah.
So yeah, we really enjoyed that. Yes, we really love Peru, and my wife and I, we spent a lot of time there in Cusco. We were there for a couple months, and up in Machu Picchu, and we were down in Iquitos. My wife said when she was younger, she spent the summer in Iquitos, and she said, like, for their showers, they would just go outside and shower in the rain because it was raining so much, you know, or they would go swimming in the Amazon. And she said the fishermen or people out in the boats would say, piranhas, you know, and everyone would run and get out of the water, and then they'd all go back in, and then they'd say anaconda, and we have to run out of the water again. So she said it was like pretty crazy. But yeah, we really love Peru. It's such an amazing and spiritual place. How did you decide on Peru? So you were traveling all over the world. You were in Thailand, and you had this inspiration to go to Peru. Is that because that's kind of the epicenter for a lot of this, or what inspired you to move to Peru?
I mean, I guess you want that I have a little funny chair here. That's why I'm moving around. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I need to be honest. I can't be not honest. I need to be in my integrity, and it's a little bit funny story how it came, and it sounds maybe a little cheesy for one or the other, but the truth is, in Berlin I had a really crisis. And then I went to Thailand, to Koh Phangan. It's one of my favorite islands, where I always, in my 20s, I went there frequently. And then in the beginning of my 30s, I went there, and I found everything happened somehow. And I found a bungalow without water, tap water, no electricity. And I stayed there for almost 1 year. I could stay there for free. And I did a lot of inner work and a lot of meditation and stuff. And one morning, I was sitting on the rock. And it was a very beautiful, big, huge rock where I had the view on this turquoise ocean in Thailand. And I did this, I learned like this technique. It's like a Theta healing technique of meditation. And I never had that experience before, and I never had it afterwards. It was only this one time. So I went down in the earth in this meditation and up to the sky. And I asked, what should I do? I don't want to go back to Berlin. I don't know how to go on with my life. What should I do? What are my next steps? And I saw, and I never had that before. And I didn't take any medicine or any plants or anything at that moment. No drugs, nothing. And I saw this jungle and this wine. And it was like, the saying was like, you will work with ayahuasca in Peru. And I didn't have any idea, work with a plant, you know, and I was like, And somehow I still wonder how it came from really deep inside. It was like, hey, if this is true, show me the way, because my money is almost gone. I think I have to go back to Berlin, looking for a job, integrating in the system. So I don't know how to go to Peru right now. I can't fly to Peru right now. So if this is true, what I see here, if this is not an illusion, show me. And and 3 days later, I met a woman, and she invited me for some farm work in California, what was a really good, nice job, and organic farm, and all good. And somehow inside of me, I knew when this woman appeared and invited me to come to California to work, I knew, okay. And I said, okay, I take the money and I go to Peru. And this is what I did. And when I ended up in Peru, this is where I started to talk about with this center where I worked for 3 months as a volunteer, and then everything started. So it was like a very deep, intuitive decision, not rational, nothing. And when I ended up here, it just in my belly, somehow it always felt right. And there was, like you said in the beginning, so much doubt, you know, and friends, you are now taking drugs in the jungle. And when are you coming back? And I mean, I was questioning myself as well, what I'm doing here, like sitting for many months in isolation in the jungle, but it felt right. So why I'm in Peru, it was a deep, deep, deep feeling, what just felt right. And I'm very glad that I followed this feeling. Do you know that kind of feeling? You know, sometimes that you have not like a rational thinking, it's like something else is there, what just feels right. Do you know that? Kind of.
Definitely. Well, I think, yes, definitely. I think Peru is a very spiritual place and has like a very strong energy, and you know, still has a lot of the kind of Aboriginal, you know, cultures from the indigenous periods. And so it's interesting because you really have this indigenous native culture combined with this, like you were saying, like the Spaniards who came in and kind of, I guess, destroyed the civilization to some extent, or changed it.
I mean, all over the world, we had these wisdom keepers who knew how to connect to universe, who knew how to connect to the moon and the stars and the sun, and knew how to connect to the wisdom of the plants. I mean, we had it all over the world, but at some point, it was like, here is the church, and you go there in, and you have to believe that, and you have to do that. And when they came in the jungle, I mean, we know how sad it was historically, how the people got slaved or killed if they didn't follow the missionaries. And luckily in the jungle, they could hide. People could hide and still doing their thing. As well in the Andes or in some other regions, people could hide, or they pretended, like in Mexico, I think we have some churches as well, where they pretended that they pray to the holy people from the church. Maybe I'm not a native English speaker, but they knew behind this holy person there is their spirit of Pachamama or whatever, I don't know. But I mean, I think, and all over the world, they, you know, people were not anymore free what they believe, and they got limited in the work, especially when it went deep in alchemy and deeper in energetically stuff. This was not wished, and especially not when you do something where you feel like, hey, God or the light or full power is in me. You know, that was not wished. If someone wanted to take over with power, they wanted that people are following. And if you work with plants, you know that the power is in you, and you have everything what you need inside of you. And you learn that following someone is actually not nature. It's not the nature of humanity, like listening and following and doing what someone else tells you. It's finding your own voice inside. And there's the potential.
Yeah, that's what I really loved about Peru is the connection that people have with nature, whether it's, you know, to the condor or to the snake or to the mountains, the apus, and the underworld as well. So it's like this really powerful connection, and through Pachamama, you know, they really celebrate and worship Pachamama and give gifts to Pachamama. And it's a really powerful thing. And I think, a lot of people in this day and age are so disconnected from that, you know, through technology and everything else, the fast pace of modern society, and, you know, all of these, you know, these harmful foods that we're eating, or the pollution that we're breathing in, whatever it might be. But that's where I feel like, you know, experiences like this is really what a lot of people are looking for, because they're so wrapped up in the technology, or they're so wrapped up in the modern world, that they can't detach themselves from it unless they do something like have an experience and you know, experiment with connecting with the natural world through the, you know, in the jungle, using plant medicine, whatever it might be. I think it's like something that's very unique. And I think a lot of it's almost becoming too commercialized to some extent, because we see a lot of even technology entrepreneurs, you know, going to do ayahuasca trips to basically have breakthroughs in business is kind of their intention, which might be the wrong intention to begin with.
And that's one of the shadow sides. The shamans also, you know, some who realize, wow, we can make so much money with these gringos who are coming here, and as well Western people, you know, who have the focus on the money instead of really the integrity of healing and supporting each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's super
And I
important.
think
That's super important.
so important, so important. And it's sometimes difficult also to find the right way, you know, and to reflect, what is the right way now? How much do I pay? You know, I want to honor the work, but where is the right amount? So there are many questions also, how we connect to indigenous people who come from a different culture, you know, especially when it's around money and all that. Like, it's not easy to find the right way. What is the right way? Yeah. But it's, I think it's for every one of us, whatever we do, always again a reflection and feeling in, is it the right thing? Yeah. I mean, what I really like is the place where I do the group retreats mostly. It's a Shipibo family, and they are very, very nice people and very kind people. And I like to have it in that environment where we also support another Shipibo family, and they do Shipibo food sometimes. Sometimes they do something for us as well, but sometimes also really good Shipibo food. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, just for everyone that's on with us at the moment, we have Ute here. She's the founder and manager at true-journey.net. If you want to find her on the interweb, you can find her there. And she does these amazing shamanic experiences, mostly with ayahuasca, but also Masterplant Diets, which we've been talking about a bit. Typically, it's 8 people, 14 nights, 6 ceremonies. You get your own private room. And she's got it all up on the website, but typically it's about 1.3 to 1.5 thousand for the trip for 14 days, which I think sounds like super affordable. And I know a lot of people in our community have a lot of interest in this. Some people have had shamanic ayahuasca experiences before. You know, some people have tried other sorts of medicines. So yeah, we think it's like a really, really kind of neat journey to have if you're open-minded and you want to try something new and potentially have some personal spiritual breakthroughs. You know, it's really can be a very, very powerful medicine, or even helping people get off drugs, or helping people just cleanse their bodies and their minds and their spirits. And we're super lucky to be here with Ute. We're getting close to wrapping up the event. I would like to do this, just keep going probably forever. But yeah, we're getting towards the end here. I wanted to see if there's anything you would like to say or leave with our audience before we wrap everything up here. Any departing words for the group?
From me, from my side,
yeah,
or
from your side?
I want to say that I really, really trust that everyone has own wisdom inside, you know, and sometimes we get so conditioned that we always look outside for wisdom and for knowing and for satisfaction. But I really trust and believe that every human has gifts and wisdom inside. And I really encourage people more to trust in that, and looking inside what is there, and trusting. And if there's something in the way to trust, also to work that. What is in the way that I can fully trust myself and my potential? And how can I find my own potential and really stepping into my own empowerment to guide me through life? And I know everyone has it inside. And I really like to remember people on that, to trust in that.
That's amazing, Ute. So yeah, just really, you know, rely on your intuition, rely on yourself. You know, it could be your parents and your friends. They know what's best for you. But at the end of the day, because we're the only ones that truly know ourselves. So
yeah. And other people are good to talk with and to reflect on, I think. Yeah. I mean, we need also relationship and others. But yeah, we have it inside, and we can find it. We can connect to it, and that's amazing.
Yeah, that's totally amazing, Ute. Well, it's quite a journey that you've been on. It's really an amazing story, and it's still happening. You're still in the midst of the journey and discovery.
Yeah.
And, it's super cool that you ended up in Peru, because yeah, Peru is like one of my favorite places in the world.
Yeah. When I last time?
Last time
Just
I
curious.
went, it was actually back in 2016, and I was there in June for the summer solstice, or the winter solstice, I guess. I mean, it was a summer solstice. They had the big ceremony in Cusco, and then we did the hike to Machu Picchu through oh gosh, trying to remember the name of the route, but we went over the kind of the high altitude route. I want to say, anyway, I'm blanking on the name. But anyway, we actually did a ceremony on the way. We went to the highest peak, and then we had a shaman do a little ceremony. And it was really amazing because we're at this, and they had an old Incan cross at the top of the mountain, and he was doing the ceremony. And next thing you know, the skies got covered up, and it started snowing. And then these condors started flying above us. It was like he was a magician or something. I couldn't believe it. So now I'm a believer after that. I couldn't believe the whole thing. So, but it was really, really amazing. And yeah, we really had an incredible experience in Peru. And just, for everyone here, Ute, she's based in Peru. She's in the Sacred Valley at the moment, originally from Berlin. And just really lucky to have you here today. Really appreciate you sharing all your information and your knowledge, and spending the time to meet with us here from the nomad and remote work communities. For us that just sit behind our our little screens most of the day. I think it's super helpful to break away from that, go visit Ute in the jungle, and really have a transformational experience. So yeah, we super appreciate you spending the time with us.
Thank you so much, Dave. I also really honor your invitation and the interest, like your interest and openness to invite me. And thank you so much. It means a lot.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ute. We really appreciate your joining us, and have an amazing.
Peru, let me know.
Okay, we will definitely, because we're definitely going to be in Peru, and we'll definitely stay in touch, and let's keep this line of communication open. And for anyone out there who wants to join Ute, just check out true-journey.net, and we'll have all the information there. And if you want to know more, just chat with Ute. She can talk to you offline. So for everyone out there, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Ute. We'll let you get back to it there in Peru, and just hope you have an amazing week. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Bye.
Okay.
Ciao.
Ciao.